everyone. My name is Nishat Fatima. I am the Customer Experience Management Advisory Community Lead. I'm super excited to have Sameer Patel with us here today, who's the Chief Marketing and Solutions Officer for SAP Customer Experience. I'm super excited to hear his thoughts on CX and XM and how that they kind of work together and how we are helping our customers with that. So without any further ado, let's jump right in. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. And thank you, Sameer, for being with us here today. Super excited to have you.
Likewise.
Yep. So without wasting time, I just kind of wanted to start with learning a little bit more about you, right? During COVID, I feel like all of us have gained some new skill or new hobby. Have you done something like that kind of helped you cope through the last year?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a really big cook for over a decade. But I think with COVID having a little more time at home and the lockdown, which physically meant you couldn't go anywhere. I think I did a lot of refining of different cuisines. I built a kitchen outside, and started to learn newer techniques around American style barbecuing, Indian style barbecuing, and it was a really, really great way to also get the kids involved and sort of spend a little time with them and having them just be a little more inward and appreciate what you have in your house, because you're not out there doing stuff outside and acquiring and buying and this and that, and you're actually for once just enjoying and being grateful for what you have and making the best of it. So, I think I've always found that I've throughout my career and even before that, I've always had one thing outside of work that I've sunk myself into, because I think it actually makes you a lot sharper and a lot more decisive and precise on what you do at work, depending on what you pick. I used to be a competitive squash player, which brought the competitive side in me, which I clearly bring to work. And then cooking is something that just is one of those things that the inputs don't equal the outputs, just like work, right? You can there's variables around you all the time. Every day is different. The weather's different. You're cooking different. You're cooking the heat. You're cooking the cold, and you can have the same perfect ingredients and everything, but you cannot guarantee the outcome. And I think work is a lot like that, right? Where we keep learning and we keep trying. So these things have had a pretty big impact on me. But I think that was how we made the best of COVID.
Yep. No, I mean, food is a universal language, right? Regardless of where you go, what you do, food is something we can all connect through. I like to call myself a passion cook because I don't like measuring things, or I'm just a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Let's see how it turns out.
I don't think more people, I mean, listen, that's one reason why I never bake. I hate baking because it's too precise. It's too precise,
surprisingly, I am a baker, so I like the sweet things. Yeah, but I guess as we're kind of talking about SAP and our work, I kind of wanted to ask you, what impact do advisory services especially have on our customers, and how do they drive our customer success?
I mean, I think it's a non-negotiable part of, I think, our value proposition, right? Mm-hmm. Customers have, how do I put this? It's not hard these days, especially with SaaS technology, to actually procure and buy SaaS technology, right? Driving transformative outcomes in the face of competition, increased competition, globalization, rapid evolution in software and technology concepts and infrastructure technologies like cloud-based consumption and delivery. Our customers, if you're talking about a CIO or a CFO or a chief HR officer, a chief marketing officer, they're there every day to run the business of sales, marketing, finance, what have you.
Yeah.
And managing the rapid change of technology around them that can make them a lot more effective. And also, more importantly, perhaps, how these technologies have to be integrated and come together is a layer of help that they look to the vendors that they consider strategic partners. And so I think as time goes on, it is going to become more and more and more important, to be able to have an advising services.
Yeah. And plus, like, that kind of like builds that trust between the customer and the vendor, like, especially as at SAP. So how, like, what are some of the things that you look for, or how do we actually become a trusted advisor to our customers?
I think it's a couple of things. I think first is, there's a level of agnostic attitude you have to bring as an advisor into a relationship. Like, obviously, these are, if we're talking about people in the SAP ecosystem or even our own consulting organization, they're obviously experts at SAP, but the value add is when you start with a business problem out, and then you can work with the customer to look at, how do they bring these two together? How do they drive process transformation? What is the wiring of different technologies that have to be done? There is taking that load off of them and knowing that you will be able to bring together whether it's SAP or non-SAP technologies, maybe it's a partner technology together, be able to solve a certain business problem, is a level of trust that has to be earned, right? And I think I would like to think we try hard enough to be that kind of an advisor. And I mean, from a brand standpoint, makes me, one of the things at least that makes me super proud of SAP is we're considered a trusted partner. We just have that in our brand attributes, right? And I feel great about that.
Yeah.
I think the second thing too is that, one of the things that we don't talk enough about, right, is that with the advent of SaaS technologies and subscription as a service methods to employ your CRM software, your HR software, or whatever, one of the things that happens is, from a vendor standpoint, where the people who provide SaaS software are providing sort of one size fits all software for the most part. Right, SaaS is efficient and the economics of SaaS work because you're renting standardized software, right? Versus the old world of on-premise software where you customize it, you made it work like you like. That's all good because there's a lot of efficiencies on both sides. We can update our software, the customer gets it in no time, and it's a great system. There's one drawback that we don't talk a lot about as an industry, which is if you're using the same CRM software and I'm using the same CRM software and a third person's using the same CRM software and we compete, then where's the differentiation coming from technology? Right? Where am I getting competitive advantage from technology? And I think that's where the trusted advisory services really, really comes in play, because we can help customers understand what parts of your stack need the transformation because it's close to your secret sauce of what you do. How you are employing platforms, extensibility software and mechanisms to be able to extend these platforms, to do it in a particular way so it accentuates your secret sauce. Those are the need for trusted partners has actually gone up, in my opinion, in SaaS, because the software out of the box looks just like the software your competitor uses. Right? So how are we advising customers on process transformation? How are we employing platform technologies to be able to give them those competitive edges in the market? So I think it's just going to continue to be super important.
Yeah. I mean, again, from a biased point of view, I feel like that's what connects me with our customers too, right? It's like providing that additional help or additional support that they need and being there for them throughout this process. And then, like, as you were kind of talking through that, right, you mentioned the word transformation and how that kind of like fits into it. So, like, we keep hearing about digital transformation and what that means. So what does it actually mean to our customers, and where does like experience management fit into it?
Yeah. Well, I'll say this first thing. I think it is the most overused, tired term right now, right? Because I think people have just been carelessly throwing it out, wherein it actually has a lot of meaning for customers, and it is something that's super important for them. I think that, for me, for customers, it is, in plain simple terms, for me, it is an opportunity for them to really start to rethink how they wire and rewire their organizations by putting their customers in the center of the experience, in a sense. So I'll give you an example. Right, and I've got a blog post where I'm writing about this. But it's there's if you think about one of the things that the pandemic taught us, right, is that this whole notion of back office versus front office is a man-made delineation, and there is no such thing as back office and front office, right? And I'll tell you what I mean by that. If you look at almost every single instance through the pandemic where you had massive disruptions in how commerce was done, and there was moves to online commerce, and the single biggest impediment to being able to conduct commerce at much larger scale because everybody is online at home shopping.
Yeah.
Where did all that break? Guess what? It didn't break because somebody's shopping cart stopped working. And it didn't break because the catalog stopped working.
Yeah.
90+% broke because the supply chains broke.
Yeah.
So we need to stop thinking supply chain is some back office thing hidden in the back. Everything is front office if you put the customer in front of it, right?
Yeah.
If you had a bad customer experience with a retailer that you were trying to buy something, right? And it was because of the delivery or the logistics, or they sent you the wrong product. That is failure at the supply chain and logistics level. So, when you put the customer in the center of the process, think about, why did your experience fail? It wasn't because your credit card wasn't accepted at the front end. And it could be too, but majority of the problems were supply chain issues, right?
Yeah.
So as we get out of the pandemic, as you might agree with me, many of these behaviors of how we shop and procure aren't going away. We're just going to be like, that actually was the most efficient way to have done it all along, right? It's like, I sometimes think to myself, I was like, so for the last decade, why were we buying toilet paper like when we needed it? Like, why has this never always been a subscription service, right? I mean, I'm going to need it, guaranteed. So, there's these behaviors that COVID kind of pushed us into that I think will just stick with us.